What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a showcase, a little mini showcase of my newest rank 5 ascended character, Professor X. This is long overdue on my side. I have been using Professor X since he came out. I helped put this guy on the map when he first came out with the double prowess rotation. That video is still one of my most popular on the channel, and I've been using Professor X for a long time. So I figured it was just right to finally get him up to rank 5 and Ascended. That's the last hit I take in this fight, I believe. The other damage I take is from degen and stuff. But regardless, Professor X, I've been a fan of his for so long. I've been using him for such a long time at a rank 4 6-star level. And I have no idea when the 7-star Professor X is going to return. He's the only gifted Guardian I did not get. So, knowing all of that, or I guess not knowing all of that, I figured it was probably best to take him up to rank 5 and ascend him so I can keep using him at a 7-star adjacent level without needing the 7-star, because I don't have him. I have every other gifted Guardian, even some of them awakened, but no Professor X. So, regardless, we have the rank 5 ascended here. I have synergies, but the only one that's making a difference is White Magneto. It's increasing his prowess duration by 20%. Outside of that synergy, there are no boosts, there are no recoiling masteries, no power back boosts, anything like that. This is just Professor X with White Magneto, which you typically run with Professor X anyway in Necropolis for 2 fights, the Sauron and then the Hit. I would have made a larger showcase if I had him as a 7-star, but I feel like the 6-star, he's been shown around a lot, but maybe not as much Necropolis content, so I figured it makes sense to show him off in Necro because not a lot of people are making Professor X Necropolis content. And he's actually quite good there. He has the range and the reach to handle 7 to 8 million health, even as an ascended 6-star. You're going to see that I finished this fight against Sauron, and there is still charges left on the Necropolis counter. Like, there's still a lot of runway for Professor X to keep going and keep ramping up. But once you reach around 30 prowess, you can kind of stop going for the double prowess loop and just spam specials as much as you can. Because the big difference in the additional prowess is going to be the damage from the special 1. The special 2 is going to be hitting the damage cap basically every time once you reach around 30 prowess or so. So the goal is obviously to build up to that number. I think around 28 or 29, I start to just go for special 2s without the heavy into the special cancellation. But up until then, obviously, the ideal way to play Professor X is to heavy cancel into your special 2, channel, and then heavy cancel again, so on and so forth. There's multiple ways you can get the channeling. You can do what I'm doing, which is a slight block input, which gets him to block, cancels the channeling, and then you go for a special canceling into your heavy. You can also just charge your heavy through the channeling. That creates a new channeling string. I don't think I do it in any of these videos, or any of these fights, but you could just... Let me pinpoint when you could keep charging your heavy in the fight here. So right after this special 2, instead of me dashing back and going in, I would just charge my heavy continuously. So right here, instead of blocking and dashing back, I would just charge my heavy. And through that heavy charge, it would create a new channeling string, and then it would the same effect would be resulting from the special activation. I would gain the additional prowess from channeling, and then I'd gain the additional prowess from activating the special while channeling. So I love Professor X, and I'm very hopeful I can pull him as a 7-star. Such an easy rank 3 for me. Wouldn't even be a conversation. I think probably outside of Onslaught, Professor X is my most used mutant. Apocalypse is definitely like the mutant that people associate with me for the most part, but I help put Professor X on the map, and I use him more than almost anybody. Or I should say I used him more than almost anybody, because once I got APOC, I definitely used him quite a bit. But those two, outside of Onslaught, I would say are the mutants I want as 7-stars the most. APOC isn't even a 7-star, I'm thinking, yet. I'm thinking he probably will be a 7-star at some point next year. And if that is the case, it's very likely that I'll be taking him up to rank 3, or who knows, maybe even rank 4 is going to be available there. I don't know if a 7-star APOC would be a rank 4 candidate for me right away, but Onslaught definitely would, and I'd even consider Professor X as a rank 4 7-star mutant candidate, but that's way down the line. So right now, I would just love to pick up Professor X as a 7-star. I know I just ranked him up as a 6-star, but you never know, man. There is no communication on when those champions are going to be coming back as 7-stars. It's going to be a year in a month, a year from their release initially, and it's not like we haven't seen them in other crystals. Excuse me. Adam Warlock, Professor X, Shocker, they've been in a lot of different like specialty saga crystals over the course of 2024, but I am just not lucky enough to pull them, I guess. My Shocker is still unawakened, and my Professor X is a 6-star, not a 7-star. So, yeah, hopefully at some point soon they return as 7-star champions, and I have a better chance at getting my Shocker awakened and then getting Professor X. So as you can see here, I'm not worried about channeling because I have plenty of prowess, and Sauron goes down. How many hits were left in the counter? There were 24, let's call it 20 hits left in the counter. So we took down that Sauron in, I think it was around 8 minutes or so. Or, I'm sorry, not even 6 minutes, my bad. I'm looking at the recording time right here. I thought it was a little longer. But, yeah, that was a 6-minute takedown of Necropolis Sauron with a 6-star rank 5 Professor X. And then this fight is even faster, the Hit Monkey here. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the only thing that's really making a difference here is White Magneto, and if you're running Professor X in questing content, you're going to want to have White Magneto with him regardless. So, while these things could be done without White Magneto, specifically Sauron would be basically the same fight with or without him, Hit Monkey is made significantly easier with the addition of White Magneto because of that passive stun, allowing me to always parry him and not worry about him shrugging off the parry stun because of his primal rage. So we're just building up here, ramping Professor X in the typical way. In content like this where you're racing against the clock, I wouldn't advise going for your special 3. It's just a waste of time for the most part. You're going to be able to ramp up the prowess that you get from your base rotation enough to where the special 3 prowess is not really going to make a difference. Now, if you're not racing against the clock, sure, go for that special 3 prowess. It is more powerful, and the signature ability increases the potency. But think of it this way. If you have an awakened Professor X and you just ramp him up normally, if the opponent has, I don't know, a bar and a half of power, the potency of your normal prowess based on your sig increasing them, so the base potency plus the signature ability increasing the potency based on the opponent's power bar, is essentially going to, like, it's going to be a wash compared to your special 3 prowess. It's going to be nearly equivalent or equivalent to the prowess potency of the special 3. So it doesn't really matter. And you can see I have 17 prowess already. We've barely started this fight. Obviously the timer is going, so you know, I have to kind of keep a mindful eye of that. But in terms of like the actual ramp up, I've only ramped up 2 times. I've only gone for 2 sets of a ramp up here. I was trying to dex there, but it triggered a parry input, and I ended up getting a little bit whacked by that, but don't worry, I get some revenge on that special 2 later in a much more fancy way, so keep an eye out for that. We're just under 2.9, 2.8 bars of power. That's the ideal threshold to have Professor X at, especially in this long-form content, because it allows you to go for essentially back-to-back special 2s, and if you have that falter ready, you can just spam them from a heavy charge, get the additional prowess, and keep channeling and go for maybe an additional special 1. But once you have above 20 prowess, your special 2, the more special 2s you can throw, the better. You don't really want to pay attention to the special 1 as much once you're above like 20 prowess or so. So right here, I'm just trying to push his power as high as possible, so now I have way more prowess potency from the signature ability. I have 24 prowess now, and it's just not even funny. Building up even more, using the falter to make him dash into me. And I think I go for 1 more special 1 here. Yeah, 1 more. So that puts me at 29 prowess. Plenty of prowess. We get the Rooted Special 2 decks here. Like I said, I'd get some revenge in a fancier way. I don't like getting clipped, so yeah, a little bit of revenge there for Hitmonkey. We're using the Relic. I will say that the Relic I'm using here is only a 3-star Relic, so these fights could be even longer and could be even more drawn out if I had a higher star Relic. So using only the 3-star is definitely gimping my time in here. It is reducing it substantially, because the 3-star Relic, it recharges much slower than all of the other Relics. So I'm not having that additional time with the Relic. I just have the lowest possible spirit gauge, and that is not working to my advantage, but it doesn't matter because Professor X just has the damage. You're going to see that Hitmonkey is going to go from 18% to 0 in the next cycle of special attacks, and that's going to be all she wrote. So, guys and gals, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate you all being here. Thank you again for 36,000 subscribers. Again, the road to 50K. It's going strong, and yeah, I know we're going to get there at some point. But yeah, these final special 2s are going to finish them off, and that's going to be the end of the video. So thank you all very much. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already, and hit the bell for notifications if that's something you're into. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.